actually take in hex. And
Yeah,
I
but
If you
know
would have listened to me, and if you would have ETS'd all your EHEX and swapped it for PHEX, you would have 600% of your bags. 600%. So forget about the 20%
yeah, I know.
APYs or the 30%. You would have 600%. So that means you would have went from mid dolphin to shark. Nobody did it.
I think the position that we're in with Pulsechain with Hex and that you all talking about the us having liquid. I mean, we could always provide liquidity pairs with the Hex that we have.
yeah, but you're
No,
also running a permanent
but
loss
we do,
risk.
but we do though, Crypto Nate. We have a very liquid pair. We have a lot of hex liquidity, but it's not paired to the right thing. Now you know what's our
Right,
problem?
exactly.
Pulse has no liquidity. Pulse right
Right.
now is being really, really downplayed. To why? Because there's a lot of reasons, right? Like you can't look at me right now, and this is my biggest FUD for the day, is how can you have $60 million bridged in backing your chain and you just took $60 million of making money and you just created almost 30 million of stable? There's a big risk right now occurring in this ecosystem. There's a
Yeah,
huge
but keep
risk.
in mind they said the same thing about hex. There was like barely any liquidity, and that was actually the best time to buy.
Well, that's the
So
Hmm.
thing, That's the thing, because I mean that what Johnny Sachs did with that communist idea, the communist idea, with pairing that with X.
Oh no,
I
the
mean, for one,
communists.
yeah, communists, yeah, whatever. But I mean, the thing is, you ain't even got to buy this. All you got to do is stake the X, and the value of the
No,
communists is
man. No,
already
man. This is
there,
cap.
right?
This is cap. This community does not do unless most of the people in the community are in V1 and they're front running the benevolency of this chain, bro. Our liquidity, our V2 is sorry, but our
yeah,
V2
but
is not even
I
really.
heard this argument for like a year or more of hex can never do anything because it has too low liquidity,
No.
and
But
then
hex,
it
but
proved
we are
everyone
Well,
not.
that's
wrong.
not true.
Yeah, but
I
no, no,
mean,
no,
the
no,
thing
no, no, no.
is,
But wait,
it's
wait, wait,
done,
wait, wait,
but
wait, wait. But that has nothing to
yeah.
do with this. That has nothing to do with this. Now we're talking about an L1 and extraction. I'm talking
Yeah, but
about
when
like
was the best time to buy any L1 when the liquidity was the lowest, right?
I agree, but you don't think that it's gonna go lower? Like, look
I
what's
don't know.
happening.
I have no idea. Depends on how many people want to sell.
I
Yeah.
think as
Yeah,
I think if the ETH
and then
liquidity
that hurts
keeps
the
rising,
price.
I think if that ETH liquidity keeps rising, we're saving our, because the more we leave it to that 60 million that keeps losing,
Yeah.
we're gonna get extracted by bots, bro.
That's
Take
weird,
your
dude. Because like
heads.
I feel like EHEX on Ethereum and ETH needs to get paired, and that's going to be the saving
No,
grace. Like
EHEX, you
it's
need to
Yeah,
take that
but
pulse.
keep
We
in
need to take
mind,
that pulse.
why would you
Guys,
want to
we need
put
to
the
Pulse.
take
hands
that
in
pulse.
control of ETH
We
though?
We're
Why
need
would
to
you
take
want to
that
talking
give
pulse.
layer one.
We need to
We're
but
take
why
that
would
talking
you
pulse.
want to
layer
put ETH
one.
in control of your destiny?
But we're not putting ETH in control of my destiny. You're not. ETH is the most liquid EVM coin.
Yeah,
You're not gonna
Ethan
tell me there's
BTC.
92 billion. There's
Mm.
92 billion. There's 92 billion. At least $100 billion worth of being redeemed and admin keyed money. That's money. That's cash. That's in the system. You could take that out. That's value. Okay. You can't
Yeah.
tell me
hmm
that we cannot focus, right? So right now, I'll give you, Ash. You'll understand my point on this, okay? And a lot of people will,
This is the
because I
2024 play,
I've
guys.
lived the problems we face, right? By bridging assets is very simple. We take value in ERC20, right? Because you're not taking ETH. Forget about it, okay? So it's fugazi. You're taking you're taking CC2 wrapped ETH, and you're taking other ERC20s, and you're bridging them. What does that mean? You're taking value and you're creating a coin that is completely useless. It has no value. You're backing it by this entity, right? Now that's risky. That's a lot of risk because it's valuable. Now you're taking this and you're saying, okay, system. Now, when you pair to these things, you have value, aka the reason why the bridge is open. And before the bridges, everyone said there was no value because there is no value. How are you supposed to take it out? Now, when you look at that, the problems that occur with this is extraction. What does that mean? When people profit off of this ecosystem, the only way to get money out of it, to say that it's valuable, is to only take out the coins and
Okay,
bring them
but
to Ethereum.
the argument could be also made with hex that you could go
No,
back
it
out of
can't.
ETH and it
No, you
still went
can't
up. It
because
still went up.
no,
It
but
didn't matter.
now if you take the PRC20s, okay, there is no risk. You're taking something that is not valuable. You're taking something that has no value extraction to it. Why would someone steal this from a bridge? So you're taking something that has so much less risk, and you're taking the same amount that you're doing on the same side, You're bringing it to the most liquid, the most valuable chain, and you're pairing it to the same tokens you're pairing it on Pulse Chain with. But you don't have to take all of it. You could take 20% of it and pair
Yeah,
it on
but keep in
Ethereum.
mind the action of actually taking value out is actually giving it value. You're actually telling the system
No, 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 no,
it has
no. But I
value
agree with you. I
because
agree
I
I
with you.
mean,
sold
But
it
it's
for
not
that's
this
sustainable.
price.
But it's not no, no. But it's not sustainable. It's not concrete ratio value. It's not
But
sustainable.
you're
If you
setting the price by selling it at that. When you
So
okay,
sell a
but hear me
PRC
out.
20, you're telling
James,
the world that this is the price that I value it at.
Yes, but I understand. But what you don't get is that what you're doing is that you're taking an ERC20 and pairing it to a PRC20. So if
yeah,
that's the value, then you could take the
yeah,
PRC20 and pair it to an ERC20. Now you're removing all the externalities of what? You're removing risk, you're removing volatility, and you're also amplifying the aspect of being
yeah.
liquid because you're
That's
creating
the
a liquidity pool that is so liquid. You could then take your ETH
yeah,
and get routed. So you become a factor. You get marketing tools. You're on the most liquid
yeah,
DEX. You're on so many things. And I'm sorry, but bro, ETH is not dead. ETH is not dead. It's
no,
at 5.5%
nowhere near,
fucking ratio against
nowhere near
Bitcoin.
dead.
It's nowhere near dead. It has the most users it's ever.
I'm
But
just valuing everything
I
from when
think.
Pulse Chain launched. That's all I do. I value when
yeah,
Pulse
yeah, I
Chain
agree
launched.
with you.
I mean,
But
just
So
look
there's
at
that's
no
the
how I look at it.
difference.
Pulsex exchange
I
itself.
just
I
want you to
mean,
realize there's no difference. You could create the most liquid market on Pulse Chain. How? We are doing it. We have PulseX paired to Pulse. Why can't we
yeah.
recreate all the pools to PulseX? We could create so much liquidity,
We even
but
get Binance, man.
the value becomes constrained to the majority holders, which is us.
yeah.
And then you take that value
Yeah.
and instead of bridging in
I was
risk,
saying,
instead of
We could
famous,
bridging in risk,
bridge,
you
we
bring
famous,
could
it
famous.
bridge
to
That's
all
the
the
Ethereum.
rap
future.
And
assets.
then you're
We
going to
could,
see something. No, you guys are going to see something. Your PRC20s that are bridged in copies of your PRC20 used to go bridge on other EVMs because if you have value, just like USDT and USDC, other chains are going to take it to go make value on their chain. And then look at
yeah,
that. Wrapped Pulse chain from Ethereum is on Binance, is on AVAX. Why? Because it's highly liquid. It has a massive liquidity. It is liquid on Ethereum. It has the value. Now you're
Yeah, it's still
stealing
early. It may
all.
happen. We don't know. It may
I know it's gonna
happen.
happen. I know it's
Yeah.
gonna happen because that's what Binance did.
it will happen. It
That's
will
what
happen
Binance did.
because
But we're
Pulse
gonna
Chain is the
steal
place to for.
all the fees from Ethereum. We're stealing it and bringing it back to the grove. That's what you don't get. And then the
So you're
more we can make it liquid on Pulse Chain, but if we don't have it on Ethereum, we can't stop people from removing because if they remove it, they lose their
yeah.
art.
So you're talking about
That
making a basically a two-way liquidity bridge instead of this one-way exit only sort of thing we have now, right?
yes, yes, because it forces the bigger players to say, "Oh, well, if you guys just remove I'll just go on the other side and just bring it
Yeah.
back and change the ratio, and then
I,
you'll
I mean,
have
that's
to
what
make it that way."
Pulsex is. You know,
Honestly, I
it's a
thought
two-way street.
I thought when this all went down that EHEX PHEX would be the liquidity bridge, but I guess that turned out kind of wrong. It's a little
It's gonna
too
be
But what
Pulse
what's stopping
and
from
liquid.
ETH.
someone just building that? What you're talking
No,
about? Just
They
building
are,
it.
they
we're
are, they
doing
are,
it
Alex.
right
Check
now.
this out.
Pulse
Check
and
this
Yeah.
out.
ETH.
Check this out.
Yeah,
We went from 2.2% liquidity on Ethereum, right? We went from two. This was recent, okay? Because way before we only had like 30, 40K at the beginning. But recently we went from 2 point something percent, and now we're almost at 5% of our liquidity of Pulse Chain is because of Ethereum. Go look on GoPulse. It's gonna tell you. It shows you the numbers.
Yeah.
And if you go online, you see it. I'm telling you, if we could take 20% of what we have and put it in Ethereum and get at least a good amount of liquidity, I'm not talking about 100 million. I'm talking about let's be competitive with the other L1s or L2s, and then we're gonna be in the conversation. Because right now, if we're just going on transaction TPS and transaction price, bro, we're gonna lose to the L2s when the pro day is gonna go on. We're gonna lose because it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be less risky to go and take ETH and put it on an L2 than it is to take ETH on an L1 and to put it on an L1. That's how it works. That's why it's made like that. So in my mind, if we're just doing cheapness, we're gonna lose. But if we do that, we are as valuable, more valuable than everything. That's how we win, because we have cheap transactions. We have the value. They can't with us. If we're willing to maybe go ahead and do some stuff with the individuals, but you cannot do it if you don't do it. Like, I can't come in and just.
I
I'm
say
not gonna.
people just do it. And let's see
There
the
are. There
experiment play
are.
out. Like just do it and let's watch
I'm
it
telling you,
happen.
but if
We
you
have,
guys don't want it to
it's
happen,
happening.
it will never
No, I
happen.
don't care. Things will happen whether you want them to or not. It doesn't matter what I
Well,
think.
it's no, it'll
I
be
don't
happening
care.
for the
I'm
people
I'm
who
just a
win
player, one little
in
player.
our. No, we're all important. If we do ETH Pulse pair, we're going to experience a bull market. If we don't do it, there's a chance Pulse and Hex skip the entire bull market because we've got people just who want to extract the value. And if that's all you ever have, then you got to wait until 2027, 8, or 9 when all these EESers from Big Payday come out because they're going to EES because all they do is extract value. So that means dump a mental until 2025, 2026. They dump their big bags, which they stake till 2030, but you know they're not going to wait that long because they're even EESing at 0.005. And
Yep.
if that's the case, then we skip the bull market because you didn't want to pair Pulse to ETH. And remember, ETH Pulse
Yeah,
Hex
but
ratio,
isn't
right?
Pulse
So
already
you're
paired to
strengthening
ETH in some
Hex.
regard?
And
I
but
mean,
Yep.
the
Yep.
Yes,
thing
Yep.
that's
is,
what
But not
Famous
enough.
just described.
Not.
We went from
But
two
not
and a half
enough.
percent to 5%.
I just
Not
think
enough.
that there's
It needs
pairing
to be
to
the
there's
majority
always been
pool.
pairing to ETH.
Yeah,
It's
I
just there's
agree.
different ratios of it, right?
Yeah.
We
There's
switched.
DAI,
I
there's
agree. But
Well,
USDT.
no,
I
but
mean,
you can't
no,
compare.
no,
Post
No,
chain
no, no,
right
no.
no.
now though.
There was. There was in the bull market. Then it switched to stables, and we had a bear market. Now we got to
Exactly.
switch Pulse
Exactly.
into
Probably
ETH
will
Exactly.
happen
for the
then. I don't
next bull
know. I
market.
mean,
I'm gonna tell you,
pay
Ash.
attention.
That's
I
exactly what
but
happened.
but we just checked it out. The ETH ratio ran up. We ran up on the ETH ratio, and then the ETH went down, right? And then it went back up. We should have went.
Yeah.
So
Let me
we
say this.
literally were using against ETH.
Probably
In
just going to
terms
be adjusted. Stuff will just get adjusted. I don't know.
in terms of what Famous and what Ash is saying, I mean, I think the point here is that some people might think they're doing the best thing for the ecosystem by providing liquidity on Pulsex with like Pulse and Pulsex or something like that. And I think what these guys are saying is that it might
No.
just be a community education thing to say, hey, if you really want to get this thing to adoption
Yeah,
and
but I
pump,
mean, anyone could launch an exchange right now today and start creating these liquidity pools, right? I mean, there's nothing
they're
stopping
already
anyone from
creating,
doing
but
that, right?
right, but
Yeah, the
it's an
terms of
educational thing,
liquidity
right?
pools, yeah, but the thing
Like
is,
if
it's a
no,
contribution to those liquidity pools,
right,
right?
it's people
Now,
Right,
like us who are
right.
going to go put it in there. So
So
if
someone
everyone
has to just
thinks,
promote that.
yeah, so that's what we're talking about. So if I think that the best thing to do for Pulse Chain is to go on Pulsex and do like a Pulsex pair or EHEX PHEX, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm definitely helping adoption. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm doing, right? And so I think what Famous
Agreed.
is saying is these things are already happening. We just have to like get the community to realize that this is
It
probably the
seems
best
like
thing to
not
do.
many people are really talking about that in the
This is my
streaming
first time hearing
side.
about it. So
Unfortunate.
yeah,
It's
We're in the community.
unfortunate.
We are the community.
well,
We're having the community chat right here. There is no other community
yeah,
that's helping the system. So each of us has got to take some, even if you got to sell a little bit of X or Pulse X or whatever you got to do, pair your Pulse to ETH. If you have to do it
I
on
think
Pulse
there's
Chain
just
because you
a
hate
there's just
Ethereum, then
stigma.
you do. But
but
I
there's
think there's just a
another, there's
stigma
another.
against liquidity providing. Like people just think that it's somewhat risky, but they may need to just get
here's
beyond
what's
that.
worse.
Well,
The worst
that
risky thing
mindset
is for
has
you
to
to
come
skip a
out
bull
too.
market. Yeah, you want to
No, I
skip the bull
understand. I
market or you
understand
want
what
to
you're
provide
saying.
LP?
I love a good
It
LP conversation. I might
there's
just add
there.
a little something on that when you give
I
me a
think
chance.
people just have to like be the example, right? Just be the example.
Well,
I'm
I
doing
mean, the
it.
thing
I've been
is,
doing it, but I'm doing
we
more
got
coming up
we
soon.
also got to remember why it's still skeptical for most people to, especially Mexicans, to do LPs, because the way Richard actually came out back then, he was like, well, it's we're not about volume,
Yeah, and
unless
diversification. He always
this and
preaches
that,
against.
and permanent loss and this and that. So people actually stayed away from that, not knowing that that's actually one of the most important things to do is to
Yeah.
Hex
keep
pumped.
your asset liquid. So you can
Well,
survive these dumps.
You just
Hex
have to think
pumped
for yourself,
after
essentially,
ETH.
at the end of the day. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Hex pumped
Just think for
after
yourself.
ETH, and Richard Hart used ETH. He used Richard Hart's law and ETH to pump Hex. He pumped Hex through ETH pumping. If ETH didn't go up, Do you think Hex would have gone up? Yeah, it would have went up maybe a little bit, but he took the massive amount of ETH he had, and then he pumped it into a tiny coin, and it exploded.
Yeah, but our primary pairing for the longest time was just USDC. You do
Yeah,
know
It
that,
was
right?
ETH.
it was always
It
stable.
was actually no, you're wrong. It was ETH.
No, it
It
was
was always
USDC
ETH.
was the
It
primary.
was always ETH, and then it
No,
switched
we had a
almost
good
at the
ETH
top.
pairing also, but it was USDC was
Okay,
Yeah,
the
Crypto
top
Nate
one.
already.
knows. He was around, man. It
So
was USDC was our primary pair.
no. You can look every single day what it was paired to on hexstats.today, and the majority pairing was ETH, and then towards the top of the bull it switched to USDC, and now
Wait,
we got to
what?
switch it back.
No, I
Yeah, he's
remember it
pumped
was
us.
the majority of time was always USDC all the way from launch on.
Yeah, and
We
plus,
always
Richard always talked about that. That the reason why we didn't really go down is because
exactly,
we were paired with the stable more with
exactly.
than ETH. And
Yep.
then he reached out to the telling the guys like, hey man, if you pair with this Ethereum, get off of it, go on the stable side, to help with the price performance. He did mention that on his live stream.
I
So
remember
at
that as
that
well, so
time,
I'm not
yeah.
sure what.
If you want
I'm
to
talking
break
about
free from the
2020.
rest of the coins and from being paired to everything, then you want to be with a stable. If you pair us to ETH, we're no different than ETH. If you pair us to stables and people buy it, everything that's
Exactly.
paired with Pulse goes up.
That's our
So all of
destiny
your
then.
from
ETH is our
Ethereum
destiny if we pair to
stable
ETH.
coins become worth more, which means
That'll
people
be
will put
part of our
them in
destiny, but the
to
thing is,
sell
we
it.
don't have a big stable pairing. We don't have no big, huge stable pairing contributions
Well,
in
Hex
Pulse Chain
participants
big enough.
missed the whole lesson with Hex, right? And then they had another chance with Pulse, and only 200 of them got the message. So,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
how many times are you gonna miss out, right? Pulse Chain is different because of this from Ethereum thing. It is not just a copy and paste. It's not just a fork. It is a new chain that happens to have all this free money in it. Had day one everyone in Hex come and paired their free airdrops, they would own the entire chain, but they didn't. 200 of them did, and it's not enough. So Hex gets to go for the ride a little bit, right? Pulse
Yeah.
started with about a 10% Ethereum. It's good because we need an arbitrage point. However, we want Pulse to be mostly stable so that it can moon on its own. If you want to hold Bitcoin and follow that chart, then hold any other EVM coin because they're all paired with liquidity.
Yeah, because that's the highest pair.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's. I can see both sides of what the arguments are being made.
We will never do 100 or 1,000x if we're paired to Ethereum. We'll do whatever Ethereum does.
That I actually tend to agree with, but I do see this whole thing. Whereas if we don't have liquidity pools, how do we bring in interest and adoption, right? Like I get that point, but
Okay,
at the
but
same time, I also do understand if he just said no
the,
more stable pairings and we just went all to ETH, I think that's extremely dangerous and risky.
Yeah, we're
we don't.
looking like
Everyone spends all this time
POW.
trying to onboard users and whales. It's literally greed. It's people wanting green candles. We don't have to onboard anything, right? Like if people go in LP and then the price of Pulse goes up at all, everything that has from Ethereum after it goes up. It will
Agreed.
arbitrage
Yeah,
money
that's true.
into our chain and then leave it in the fees in the LPs, which forever grows. Like Pulse Chain doesn't ever need anyone to buy or sell it, and it will have volume and it will go up forever.
Oh, it's Sunday Detective, man. I just told you, man. Yeah, you know about this LP game, definitely.
I mean, we're only 7 months in. That's what people I don't understand. Like, I mean, it's so early. Like, people think that like we're supposed to have like all this. Like, people just don't have patience. I don't think
No,
it
they
took a
don't.
long
A lot of
time.
people don't go out patience, because they see the green candles and they want to be part of it. It's just part of
No,
the
I understand, but
psychology.
that's what can get you wrecked, man. Take it
Yeah,
from me.
yeah.
Take me as an example. I mean,
Shit,
let's
I
be
like
honest.
slow, man.
I didn't sell a lot, but I'm just saying there's moments in my history where I made the wrong move on certain stuff and I could have had much more gains, okay? Because I was impatient. So don't be impatient. Learn from me.
And there's also something to be said with just being happy with gains, right? So many people make money and then see other people get another 10x on the chart, and the money they made is now depression. Like it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Oh no, I took gain. I'm not saying I didn't take any gains. I'm just saying, you know, there's
Right,
I'm
but
sure there's
that's where
some
your
there's
story was.
always
That's
some
where
level
every
of
story like
regret.
that
There's
goes.
always some level of regret, like, but you should never dwell on it. Just move
So
forward.
like the key to pulse
The
chain.
truth is, what I was thinking, I think there's a token that no one's talking about on this pulse chain, and it's the WETH for pulse chain. If you pair that up with the WETH from ETH, I feel that's going to be the one, the pair, the strongest. It could be just one of the strongest pairs, and not only that, back up the PLS token
Uh,
by virtue.
the airdrop WETH is 1-to-1 with pulse and always will be.
Yeah,
The only
exactly.
way,
So you
right?
have enough of that. You have enough of that anyway to to pair up with the WETH from Ethereum.
Right, but that's the same as just pairing pulse to WETH from Ethereum.
I mean, yeah, it's similar. But the thing is, it's not the same. You get what I'm saying? It's similar, but it's not the same.
Any of
So
the
you
other
just
PRC20 copies you can get to reach parity by pairing them PRC20 to ERC20, except for the WETH, because the WETH is hard coded to be worth one pulse. You cannot put enough economic pressure on it to change it.
I
even
guess I
though
haven't
it's
looked at it.
even though it's just as many because it's a finite supply on the what's that post chain side.
Right. It's however many wrapped ETH were on Ethereum at screenshot, right? Not total
Right.
supply. And then when we went Pulse, we did total supply. But there's a ratio in there. It's just it's hard coded in the math, and it's in so many liquidity pools and things like that. It'll hold its value. It's basically it's a bonus supply of Pulse, right? And like I have a huge Pulse WETH pair because there's zero chance of impermanent loss. Pulse is
Right,
one
it is.
less
You're right.
forever, and I sit there and it's super low. It's probably like 2 or 3% APR, but like for my forever bag, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, especially if you got a good pair. I mean, 10 grand on each side, that'd be great. 3%.
I mean, honestly, one of my best no IL pairs is wrapped pulse with wrapped pulse over on Ethereum. That's just the absolute printer.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting right there. So yeah,
It's
I,
it's
wait,
because
I
you
really
got
haven't looked at any of this rap stuff. I'm gonna probably take a look at that. It sounds interesting.
well. So wraps just is what we use in the casino, right? Like they don't let
No,
us
I
take the
understand
actual
what
data.
it is. I haven't looked at it because remember it's a copy, right?
Well, on the ETH side, the reason there's two of them, because there's two wrapped pulse, is because they changed the bridge and it made a different pulse on the other side.
Right.
So if you bridged
Yeah. So
out, right, I bridged out very early just to have some over there. And then when they changed it, I bridged out more and got two different ones. So I just paired them together. And I mean, it's at least 100% APY. Like it's just stupid printing.
interesting.
Super limited stack though, right? Because it's only whatever got bridged out early
Right.
on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's interesting.
it is. The thing is, I thank God for post chain because I mean, I would have not ever even considered providing, making a liquidity pair, on something. I'm still
Well,
learning it,
a big part
but
of that is this term impermanent loss, right? And impermanent means like not forever, right? So like on every other chain, this is a very normal thing. There's just one LP pool. X amount of percent of the supply goes to the LP, and then you buy and trade off that. So yeah, if the price goes down on both sides, you're screwed. Here, if you take a PRC20 copy and a from Ethereum copy, and you pair them together, until all of the coins from both sides are in that LP, you will not experience impermanent loss. Why? Because the pools start with nothing. How to explain that? Imagine that you were the first one that provided liquidity to Pulse and Pulse X with 100 Pulse and 100 Pulse X, and no one else ever did. Right now, you would hold every single coin in that liquidity pool.
Yeah, but he did that with he did what? He did 10 billion and 9 point something billion and then removed it. Like we know
No, I
what he
get
did.
that. But this is the same exact thing as every single PRC20 copy. And you can also make it again if you bring in a from, like when you bring in a from copy, you're launching a new contract. It's like you're the dev, right? No admin keys, no anything, but you decide what's going on with the tokens.
you
Yeah, but
make
the
your
tokens have a risk
ratio,
factor.
right?
They have a risk factor, and like on all EVMs, that token that represents that, like it becomes not as valuable. So like you could argue to say that like what's more valuable, the bridged in asset or the asset that comes out of the bridge?
It's whatever we put value to, right? So like
No,
for
I
an
agree, but
experiment or
I'm
fun.
100. I'm
yesterday.
100% sure. I'm 100% sure that regardless if you can get more of it, if you were to ever downplay the value or make the value of a coin more, it doesn't really make anything because one coin always comes out to that coin, right?
Right,
So it's
but
either
so
you
like,
you create a hack where you mint more coins than have been bridged in, or you basically pull out coins more than you redeem them, right? And those
what
are
if
the
you just
hacks of
bring in
bridges.
coins and make
But
them
like
more valuable?
but the risk of having the value as the bridged asset is much more risky than having the asset that's not valuable and putting it in the bridge and then go making value. Like the Hart's law, like everything that everyone just spits out of their mouth, like Hart's law, right? First of all, no one understands all
Most
about it
people don't
because every
understand
time
it.
I hear people talk about LPs, they don't understand. But like it's Hart's law literally states that what we're doing right now literally can be done on the other side. So why aren't we
Of
doing
course.
it?
Oh, we are. I mean, well, a little bit,
Well,
right?
it's five. We're doing it more ever since I've said anything. It went from 2.8% to 5% ever since I've been making noise. So it means some people have been listening. But like, regardless of that, like the top of the coin until the 24th of May was because of the Ethereum liquidity pool and not because of what we had on Pulsechain. It was literally like the arbing that was occurring because of the bridge, because everyone was stuck on the bridge, because all the cool hex influencers were telling you to do nothing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the bridge is like, and the bridge being kind of like a honeypot, like it's super expensive. Small people can't leave with
No,
$20. They
but
need
that's
their
the
money.
bridge. Like the gas also was super expensive, not because of Zen. It was
No,
because
no, no.
people were willing to
I
spend
get that. I'm
50K
just
on a
saying, like,
transaction.
the bridge in general was a huge, huge chess piece in RH's whole game, and the way that it works, like, going out, right? So like, there's now Pulse on the other side. Well, in
Yeah,
theory,
there is now. There is now.
when
So
you
like, not, what he
when you
he basically
leave, you don't
built. So
necessarily
like,
want
this
to
is what I
bridge
hate.
out.
This is what I hate about Hexacle, right? Like we had 4 pulse chains. We had 4 pre-pulse chains, and each one of them had the option of you could bridge back to Ethereum. Like all of them gave you that option to go back to the testnet on Jorley or Robson or whatever. And I always kept saying it, like, yo, this is a play. Just he's not gonna tell you because he's not gonna promote. He's not gonna promote you not bringing value because the numbers you're gonna want to make them. But remember that if this play happens, you're creating the ultimate inevitable never losing value because when you're bringing it to the other side, they can't rob or extract your value. They can only change the ratio. But if you bring it to our side, they can change the ratio and extract the value. So ever since the 24th of May, that's what's happened at a 3.5 million% on average per day. That's a
Didn't
lot,
know
man.
that.
Compared to the
Yeah.
only less than 5 million that were put positively.
And
Like if you look at
you
like
could bring the ETH into the AA lobby and extract the value, right? Same thing happened, right?
yeah, but it's not. But yeah. But it's not the same too because ETH is not an ERC20, right? And the thing about Pulse Chain and why I love Pulse Chain the most is the conundrum of that liquidity. Meaning that the fact that everything was copied just creates this inevitable
Tsunami,
ability.
right?
But
Tsunami.
no, it's not even a tsunami yet. It's like you can create the tsunami. It's like you could turn the ocean as much as you want to then create as much of a tsunami you want. Because I can do whatever I want on any side. I just need to go ahead and make as much of it as possible. So like I love bringing it in Pulse Chain. We obviously need it in Pulse Chain, but we're not gonna get it, which we haven't gotten it because of one reason only: people hate Richard. But you know
Well, I
what?
think just people
But you
don't
know
even
what?
understand that they have value over on
No, they
Pulse.
hate
There's so
Richard,
much
bro.
of that.
They you know
That's
how
fine.
stupid
They
people
can
are.
hate.
I
They
could
can
agree
hate
with
Richard
that
all. He's the
statement
they
giving
too.
think
tree,
he
man.
could just take all the
Uh,
money out. But he
Then
could
go
just take
ahead.
all the
You
money out.
create a You create a price by doing that. By taking the value out, you create a price. Go ahead.
yeah.
Wi- wi-
But you're
wi-
right.
but
But you're
it's
right about the education aspect. A lot of people don't understand. What
but we could be
post chain
holding
can do
down
for
Pulse
them.
Chain. We could be holding down. We could have held down Pulse Chain. Like we
Okay,
literally could have.
let's say hypothetically no one takes any value out. Then what happens? Then you have no
But you
price of anything.
no. But you don't understand. Why wouldn't you be able to take money out? So one, you're able to take money out because you're bridging your tokens to Ethereum to then take the value. But you're
And by doing
enriching.
so, you're setting a price. You're setting a ratio
You're not
every time you do
removing
that.
any, but you're not removing anything from your ecosystem, man. Like if I have $50 million on Pulse Chain and 20 and 15 million on
Hmm.
ETH, when someone takes the value they've made from Pulse Chain and say, oh well, there's a liquid amount here and it's not as liquid here, or it's so liquid here that then I'm gonna take away from here. Oh, but wait a minute. The bridged in assets are not as liquid on Pulse Chain. Only the PRC20s are liquid on Pulse Chain, which is very healthy for an ecosystem. But then if you want to take out your value and you want to dump your value and take the money out, you could bridge any PRC20 you want or Pulse, right? And dump it on Ethereum. And
Okay,
what
that's
does that?
fine. Go ahead and do
There's
that.
no
And then what
removal
happens?
of value.
Then you
You
have
didn't
ETH. Now
remove
you
any
have
value.
ETH. But wait a second. Now you have ETH. And then if Pulse price starts to go up, you regret what you just did because you could have had more Pulse at a higher price.
Why? People are gonna buy my Pulse on Ethereum, because if everyone's buying the ratio on Pulse and changing the ratio where, oh my god, there's so much change in the ratio, people are gonna go back to ETH and they're gonna buy the Pulse that's cheap. And if I'm buying Pulse that's cheap with Ethereum, I'm giving so much more value than me buying Pulse with a Tropa, Teddy Bear, Pulse X, Inc., or any other shit PRC20 that started at $0 and has no extraction value absolutely at all, meaning no backing of fiat, no one's backing or having a liquidity pool for no OTC. There's no way in hell you can't tell me that having ETH as an ARB opportunity where people are paying in ETH to raise the ratio because they're getting Pulse at a cheap. And guess who's going to buy it with ETH? Us. But guess what can't happen? They can't remove the ETH from the ecosystem, because if they dump the Pulse, we see the guy going over the bridge. We literally can
That's
have a
fine. I don't
fucking
mind if they
bot
go ahead and
that
dump. We
monitors
can
and
laugh at
says
them later. We can laugh at
100
them later. I
billion
don't care.
Pulse going over the bridge. Like
I
it's
don't mind. I a lot of people sold hundreds of millions of hex in the early days. We laugh at them now. We don't care.
That says a
They
lot
missed
too,
out.
I
because
know
I
that
remember.
Pulse Chain doesn't care. Yeah, but Hash, I know that Pulse Chain doesn't care. But every mistake of every EVM that did an 1000x is strictly tied to the ability of extractors extracting the value, but they extract the value by removing it from the ecosystem.
It's
They don't
fine. Go
dump
ahead
the
and
Pulse.
extract. You're telling the market that you know the timing of the market. You're saying I know what's going to happen in the future by extracting and selling right now. So go ahead and extract. Do all you
I
want. We
agree
don't
with
care.
you, but you can't.
You're
But why
telling us
isn't there
that you
like okay,
know that
okay?
Pulse is going to be less valuable, 2-3 years from now. That's what you're
It
telling
is.
us.
It has been. It has
But
been.
that's what
There's
you're
no
telling us, right?
opportunity for people to buy it.
Okay, then go ahead and
No,
tell
but
us
there's
that.
no
That's fine. We
opportunity
don't
for.
care.
But why are you getting mad about this? I don't get it.
I'm not mad. I'm just telling you what the
I'm
action is.
literally
The
proving
action,
you. No, but
that's the action.
the
That's what you're
facts
telling the
are is that
market.
there's more risk in doing it the way we're doing it now,
Why?
which
Isn't
is
this all
not
just general
enticing
market
people. We want
arbitrage?
to get
Like,
more
who cares
people.
where the
There's
liquidity
We
bridges
is?
want to
on
get more
every
money.
chain, man. There's bridges on every chain. I don't know
No,
what
but
the
we
risk
want to
is.
get more money. How is people gonna get? How are you gonna attract more money if things are more risky? It makes no sense.
By like I said, more buyers than sellers, man. I mean, that's just basic
You don't
knowledge.
get more buyers by making it more risky.
Okay, but
You don't.
again, a risk is a subjective statement, right? Because a lot of people
No,
would
no, it's an
say
actually
Hex was a
calculated.
risk with low
No, no, it's a
liquidity, and it
risk.
looks so risky to me right now. Oh my god, it's so
Risk.
low in price. There's so low liquidity. Oh my god,
No,
it's
but
so
I'm saying
risky.
why don't we get new investors? Because the investors like myself that
Because
have the
some people
money
don't
that
have
want to come
balls,
in.
man. I don't know.
But it's not about having balls, bro. It's not the smart move now. Why would I buy it now when I can make more money and then buy it later when it's going to go lower because it's being extracted right now?
Okay, then you're entitled to that opinion, man.
I agree
It's
with I
your
agree,
Kind of,
but
life.
kind of old
I'm also
Personal
school.
allowed to
accountability.
tell
What if I
I'm also allowed to
presented?
tell the people of Hexacle the truth. I'm also allowed to tell people of Hexacle the
That's
truth of what's
fine.
occurring.
I accept
100%.
that, man. I'm not mad at you. I'm just it's fine,
I
man.
mean, you might
You
be
can
fed
think
up of
whatever
all
you
the people.
want.
That's all it is. I
I'll
think you're
think
just
what
fed up of all the people, man. And
I'm
my
not. I'm
fuzz.
not fed up with anyone. I don't even care. Like I honestly am fine. I don't know
Okay.
what the big deal is. I just when people say that they're doing things, they're saying action, they're taking actions, and their actions speak. Like that's it. And I'm sure you have a lot of pulls. I'm not saying you don't have a lot of pulls. I'm sure you do, man. And I hope you make a lot
I
of
never
money.
said that
I hope
either.
everyone makes a lot of money.
You have all the rights in the world to think I have anything. Like I don't get
I'm
insulted
just
by
telling you.
people thinking
I
anything.
wish the best for everyone in the system.
Agree.
Like
I
I'm not.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I just want to educate people and not because like
No, I know you're highlighting the
the facts and they take their
the
own risk.
dynamics.
Of
That's
course.
fine. Yeah. I agree, and I don't knock you for that, man. It's fine, dude. I mean, someone's got
I
to
know you don't.
say
I know you
something.
don't. I know you don't. I heard a bit more emotion than usual, so I was like, oh, I hope I didn't hit. I don't.
No,
You
no,
called me
I'm
out.
good, man. I'm
That's
good, man.
don't worry about it.
No
I
hate.
appreciate you being here.
I just don't know how this is all going to play out. No, I don't think really anyone does. But I go mostly based on just what I've seen in the past, and so I have all this history and baggage behind me of what I've seen, and so there's mistakes, right? And you don't want to make those same mistakes. Bro, like I
Let's
don't
talk
know.
about the past. The past was people expected the OA and the Richards of the world to pump the hex price, use that money, and then they could extract out. Now it's not happening with Pulsechain, and they're mad and they want out and they want to pump. So this would be the better play is OA does nothing, Richard does nothing, Pulse drags on in the dreary bull market, and everybody wants to chase something else. Then, like what Ash is saying comes true, which you don't care about the price, you accumulate and you accumulate longer, another year and a half, 2 years, as
Yeah, I
people
don't
get
know.
let
I
out
have
of
no
the
idea,
system.
man. I don't
Yeah,
have a crystal ball. I don't
I
have a crystal
see it.
ball.
I just don't. Yeah, we none of us do, but would I think it's safer to do something rather than expect Richard R to do something, right? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
implying.
No,
Piling
I
in
agree
my
with you.
polls with my ETH, right? I have ETH, I got polls. I want to
But
put them
don't
together
don't
because guess
don't get it
what?
twisted, man. Like don't get it twisted. Like timing the market versus time in the market, right? Like try
I
not to
want time
time the
in.
market.
I want time in the ETH market as well as the Pulse market because I think I can extract value out of the Ethereum system, and I don't
Okay.
think the early hexagons are giving enough opportunity for extracting anything out because they're doing it all. So, in my opinion, I have better odds because I'm not selling my Pulse right now, so I have better odds at least pairing my ETH and then hoping maybe I lose some pulse or maybe I lose some ETH, but with this impermanent loss thing, but I won't miss the bull market basically, which is it's getting more and more probable because we're already getting 1 year into the
Again,
and
timing the market
Mexicans,
versus time in the
Mexicans don't
market.
believe.
Pay We believe in patient, the impatient people pay the patient. So if you believe that you need to make a move right now, go ahead and make the move and
I'm
that's
not doing it
fine.
with my
You're entitled to that.
yeah.
It's your own life.
So I'm not doing it with my hex, right? My hex is at least past 2026. I don't even think about this bull market for hex. But I'm talking about strengthening the pulse chain layer one system through this strategy, which I think it's our play for 2024, 25 to experience better than what we did in 23, 22. We'll see. You held it a year or two ago, right? Because most of the gains are forward looking, not the past. As far as ETH, it only went up, like
There's
two
things
and a
that
half
I'm
cents.
focused on, which is like, what are the things that aren't changing? Well, the things that aren't changing is that it's what 40,000 times cheaper on Pulse than ETH. There's certain things that are just not changing. So I'm focused on that stuff that's just not changing. Maybe that's a bad thing to focus on, but that's what I'm focused on. And what is going to not change in the next year? Like, let's think about it. Like, what is not going to change? Do you think that ETH is going to somehow magically fix the gas fees? I mean, maybe it doesn't matter to you, but I'm just saying, do you think it's going to magically fix the gas fees? I'm just curious. Does anyone think that?
No, they won't. No, their roadmap has deleted fixing the gas fees mostly from their concept.
And
They
maybe
have
it doesn't
now.
matter to certain people who don't care about the gas fees, but every time you make an action, it requires a gas fee.
Yeah, I care the most, but
Because I mean, if you're sitting there like changing liquidity pools, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, moving around all the time, every other day, I mean, why wouldn't you not care about the gas fees? At some point, you're just blowing your money into the wind. But hey, guys, it's been fun. There's no hard feelings here. I like all you guys. I think you guys are all doing a great job, and keep up the good work. Thank you, everyone, and God
yeah, we
bless.
appreciate.
Let's just say all of that hex value from Ethereum was stuck in the bridge, and now there's 100 million hex from Ethereum on Pulsechain. I don't know.
Well, you have
Like,
to realize too that when you bridge it, you've now minted another copy, right? The bridge is just holding the real
the
one.
bridge is holding the real one, right?
Right. So like when we bridge our pulse out to Ethereum and they buy it over there, they're not buying our pulse. They're buying a copy of our pulse. Our pulse is on Pulsechain.
Right.
Our money, our value though, is all from Ethereum. And it was a very solid choice, obviously, because they're very liquid. We don't actually have any. I mean, I guess,
Well, there has
we're
been some
growing in
value
value.
added,
But,
like some native value has been added,
right.
which is more.
We're
if anything,
growing it,
value
and
very
eventually
important
that'll flip.
topic too. Yeah, we We need direct fiat on off. Money comes directly in. Fiat comes directly in chain, not through a bridge, or contract, right?
Right. And for now, we exit through Ethereum, and for the most part, that's fine.
Yeah, it's got to be. There's got to be more incentive to not leave.
Well, that's a big part of it. The bridge even doing that, right? So if OKX or somebody, or if they want to list, they have to purchase the token. So they either got to bridge in and buy them from us here, or they're just going to bridge the fake, they're going to buy the fake copy on the outside, and then they're going to list that. And then now there's a new copy of a new copy. It's the same in every chain though, right? Our wrapped BTC is a copy of a wrapped BTC is from another another chain that's not EVM. None of it's real Bitcoin.
Right.
I think that's the whole point of making the bridged in new contract, right? That's true DeFi, because anything that says from Ethereum doesn't have admin keys, right? All the copies still do. All the original contracts are still there. If you trade taxable tokens, I think some of those are actually still taxing. The DAOs work, everything's there. I'm actually surprised that, and I've never done Hex. I don't know, but the original Hex code for staking, unless they canceled it, which he very well may have, at launch it ran for sure over on this side.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, everything got copied over, and I guess
that's what a lot of the kind of original arbitrage was, because all the Uniswap pools, all that stuff, it's all in those, all those tokens are there. Me, I didn't have anything on Ethereum, right? So everything I wanted to go and get, I had to make I just made a little script and run it that I could trade wrapped ETH for whatever token in V2 Uniswap pools, because it's the same code. You just have to put in the pulse chain details. So I can go into whatever Uniswap pool I want and purchase those coins, and then bring life to those coins here and not have to wait for somebody that got an airdrop.
Very interesting.
That's a lot more my thing. And I love it, because when I tell stories and show things, people look at it and they laugh at the liquidity. And I've got one of my best pools. I think I put $10 on both sides. It's worth $5,000 right now, and it's going to snowball forever. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of the arbitrage and stuff going through it, and the amount of tokens that are just getting massively dumped on both sides. But that's you make these little pools now and get a piece of them, and if you can LP below a from Ethereum price, then you're literally getting a liquidity providing position for life that nobody else can ever even get.
So the contract address for Hex from Ethereum obviously has to be different from the PHEX contract address then.
No. So that's what it is. The PHEX address is, well, okay, I might have misunderstood that. But the ERC20, the original one on Ethereum, is now the PRC20 running contract.
Okay, but that's not the same. That's not the same for other PRCs?
That's every copied coin. Think of your wallet, right? Your wallet works on both chains. Same keys, same everything. You didn't have to change anything.
Right.
So if you any contract function that you can run on an Ethereum token, you can run over here. The biggest thing I think that may confuse most people is that they can't, you can't just run it with Pulse, because you have to run everything with wrapped Ethereum, because all contracted and run with wrapped Ethereum. But does Hex on Ethereum, does it have admin keys?
No.
Then it doesn't have admin keys over here. So the functionality should be 100% the same. And you just have to copy.
I know there was a difference in contract addresses for certain tokens after the fork. I remember there was an issue with that initially. Am I going crazy here? Does anyone Highway? Do you remember this? Because Maximus had, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, had a different contract address on Pulsechain than it did on Ethereum.
No.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Pulsechain has two addresses. There's Wrap Pulse and Pulsechain that turns into Wrap Native Pulse, just like ETH has.
No, he's talking about PRC20 copies.
I'm talking about PRCs. Yeah, I'm talking about PRCs.
Nah, man, everything got copied.
That's all.
I like to use the term clones.
Yeah, clone's a good word.
We're all clones. Back of the clones.
Interesting, because I definitely remember copying and pasting ETH contract addresses, token contract addresses on PulseX, and
you're talking about on the swap.
The LPs, yeah, the LPs.
Right. If there's no liquidity, it's not going to show up. But if you take the contract address and go into the scanner, it'll show you the holders. It'll show you all the LPs, and there's still Uniswap V3 and V2 and whatever. Well, I guess most of them are V2 because of the dates or whatever. But there's a lot of Uniswap V2 pools. Sushi Swap, all those pools are there, and they're still actively running and trading. Actually, most of them now. So the PRC20 copies with the Uniswap copied pools, once they've been arbed out, they arbitrage in the system. There's bots that are arbitraging those.